What's the time?
Memory can change the shape of a room, it can change the color of a car. And memories can be distorted.
Welcome to Earth2 Comic Cast, where superheroes exist and comic book talk is the norm. I guess I could say that for this Earth2 Ranks Everything. This is another episode of Earth2 Ranks Everything. It's three of us today. Myself, I don't know if you guys can see me, but hi. Ray.
Yo.
And Roy. Thank you guys for coming.
Roy.
Thank you guys for coming. It's Mo and Double R. Thank you guys for coming. This is going to be really good because we're going to be debating what Christopher Nolan flick is the best Christopher Nolan flick. Or just, because I think they're mostly good. I wouldn't say great, but I think they're mostly good. And so I'm not going to get into like a lot of the semantics, but these are the movies we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Following, Memento, Insomnia, Batman Begins, The Prestige, The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight, Inception, The Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, Dunkirk, and we can't really. Has everyone seen Tenet?
No, I haven't.
Nope.
You could not pay me to go to a movie theater right now.
Okay, great. So we can't even talk about Tenet then.
Yeah.
So we're gonna leave Tenet off to I think maybe the next time we do this. The reason we're doing these movies, of course, if you look at Christopher Nolan's IMDb, there's going to be a lot more movies in there. You know, there's producer credits, there's writer credits. We're just talking about writer, director, and just movies that he's personally involved with. And these movies right now are the movies that he's personally involved with. Our ranking system today is going to be the same one as when we did the DC fandom event. We're going to have an S tier rank, an A rank, B rank, C rank, and of course the D, which a lot of people could say F for. But without further ado, we're gonna get right into it. The first movie, Following. Have any of you have any of you seen that movie?
Nope.
Anyways, this is go ahead. Oh, Roy, I thought you were gonna say.
No, this is the one I haven't seen. So this is his first movie, right?
Yeah, this is his very first film, and I think it goes into the fact that a lot of people haven't seen it. It was cheap to make. It was it made pretty good money at the box office, but for a fairly cheap movie. I can go ahead and read the plot for you if you care, and then
I live a spoiler open life, so. Ray, do you care?
I don't care. I don't.
Okay,
care.
Great.
There's a 90% chance I am not going to go back and watch it.
Okay, great. A struggling, unemployed young writer, credited as the young man, takes to following strangers around the streets of London, to find inspiration for his first novel. Initially, he sets strict rules for himself regarding whom he should follow and for how long, but he soon discards them as he follows on a well-groomed, handsome man in a dark suit. The man in the suit, having noticed he's being followed, quickly confronts the young man and introduces himself as Cobb. Cobb reveals he's a serial burglar and invites the young man, who tells Cobb his name is Bill, to accompany him on burglaries. Okay, never mind. It's a lot, but it doesn't sound interesting to me. I'm pretty sure it's an interesting movie. Just from the little of what I read, I'm just not caring for it. And so, based on the fact that we haven't seen it, can we just go ahead and just make this a D tier movie? I mean, it could be good.
I mean, the description of it sounds terrible.
Listen,
it sounds like
if it was great, if it was an S tier movie, I would have heard about it by now, and I would have definitely watched it.
Okay, so
nah.
I have seen Nolan devotees in my life, and they've never talked about this movie. So
wow,
I'm okay putting it with a D.
I guess it's going in D tier, and it's our first D tier movie. Which kind of actually following this movie is Memento, which personally to me is a really good one.
Yeah.
It's a
is the
really
movie that
good.
Nolan's
All right.
reputation is based on.
I feel like you guys have heard the whole Seinfeld is not funny thing, right?
Hmm.
Where like people say Seinfeld's not funny, but they say Seinfeld's not funny because they've seen so much more stuff in this day and age. It's like so much better, but all that stuff wouldn't exist because of Seinfeld.
Because yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Like, I think when Memento came out, it was definitely an A tier movie.
Hmm.
But in this day and age, I'd probably rate it a C tier movie.
Oh wow. So the question to you, Ray, now, based on what you said, if you were rating, are we rating this movies based on today, or are we going to rate them based on the movie, just the movie itself, and when it came out? Because when Memento came out, it also wasn't like really big.
Right. It was. It also wasn't really big, but it was really good.
It
And
was
that's one of
really
the movies.
good.
What that has above the following is like Nolan fans will tell you to watch Memento.
Right.
They will.
You know. So like honestly, like I could go either way. It's however you guys feel like you want to rate the movies. You want to rate them in this day and age, or you want to rate them at the point they were released. Because if I were to
I
rate Memento now, I'd give it a C.
That's fair.
I think we should rate them as a combination. I think you can't really like. I think Nolan's movies have been influential enough that I think you've got to take them for both.
Right.
All right.
Right.
And for me, Memento is a B.
All right.
The first time I had seen it, I would have given it an S tier. But it's a movie that it's a lot like The Sixth Sense or Usual Suspects. That it's a
Yes.
movie that after you see it the first time and the more you think about it, the like shallower it becomes and things don't add up and like you start seeing the wires and all that kind of stuff. So it is an impressive accomplishment and it's really ambitious. Um, but I saw it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it just didn't hold up. Like once you know what Guy Pearce's backstory is, you
Yeah.
really it just doesn't work. It's not a movie that makes you want to like dive in and watch it again. At least to me. Um,
Yeah.
so I would support it to B because it's ambitious and it is well made. It's well acted. I think Christopher Nolan is not as full of himself as he is in some of the later movies that we're going to talk about.
Mm,
So
mhm.
like he reins
Absolutely.
himself in a little bit. So yeah, so I would rate this a B.
Well,
I'm inclined.
if
Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry,
Ray. I'm
if we're going by the metric you've put out, a B is right in between an A and a C. So I'd have to give it a B as well.
sorry. No, but that is a great metric because it's can it hold up today? And I think that's a good question to ask. Memento, when I first saw it, like I saw it because a Nolan had was like, "Yo, you have to see this movie," and I was like, "Why?" I mean, I've heard about it before, but I just never cared to see it before. And when I saw it, I was blown away. And it's on Amazon Video, I believe. And I tried watching it again, and I was like, I was in high school when I saw this movie, and
Yep.
I loved it. And now I'm like, it's good. I'm not gonna take away from the fact that it's good, but it's just like it's not as brilliant as I thought years ago.
It's a Tarantino movie without language and violence.
I could give it that. So,
Yeah.
based on that, a B works for this movie, and so Memento is going into the B section. Ah, that's good. Moving along. Next Nolan movie on our list is Insomnia. Okay, so Nolan, interestingly, right? He has this thing, right? Have we all seen Insomnia? Or this is
I saw it when it came out, and this will give you a spoiler what my rating is. I have not seen it since.
so I'm guessing this is going back down. This is going down. I mean, it's all right. So it was okay to me. It's not go back and see it again. It's not he's on this list that like Memento, which is like I have to revisit again because I thought it blew my mind that much. Even though it doesn't hold up, I will still watch it again just because I still think it's a good movie. Insomnia for me, not so much.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely give this movie a D. I think it's a tragedy because it also wastes a lot of really good actors.
Yes.
For a plot that's just like just not really interesting. I
Mhm.
think of all the Christopher Nolan movies, even the ones that like I really just have come to really not like, and a lot of the things about Christopher Nolan that I have come to not like you can at least say that he's always ambitious, and he always
Yes.
and he might and think too much of himself and his vision as a storyteller. I mean, the man doesn't have a cell phone, right? That's the kind of person that Christopher Nolan is.
Right.
But this movie just doesn't feel like it has one. It just is kind
Mhm.
of like a poorly made thriller from the mid 2000s, and it's like it's just like a non-entity of a movie. So it's like a D. Like I was actually recently reminded because my wife and I went back and we watched the Nolan's Batman movies, and we watched. She had never seen Inception, and we were just talking about Christopher Nolan, and she was going through his IMDb and was like Insomnia. I was like, oh fuck, that is a movie Christopher Nolan
Right. Right. I saw it
and
once, and yeah.
yeah, I had just given it a D because it's just like thinking about it in preparation for this show. I was like, that's that bad Robin Williams movie, right? Like,
Yes, it is
where he's like a
really
serial killer
bad.
or something.
It's really bad. It's
Hold on,
not good.
is that the one with the toy store?
No, that's a
Is that
different one,
because
right? Because he go
I
ahead.
just remember some movie where he was talking about Evangelion.
Maybe it is. No, I thought that one where he's a serial killer and he's like kidnapping kids. This one I thought he like killed women. I could be wrong.
yes,
I
do
I'm not.
something for
There was like this is from the era of Robin Williams movies where he was like, I'm gonna win an Academy Award by hook
by
or
hook
crook.
or crook. Yes,
Yeah,
wow, Jinx.
yeah. So I'm just gonna be in as many bad dramas as I can until one lands. And I think one landed, right? Didn't he win an Academy Award for? Maybe it was that Patch Adams. Maybe he won the Academy Award for that terrible movie. So, or was it the one where he ages backwards? That one was also really bad.
Yeah. So, Ray, do you have something you want to say on this, or you're just okay with wherever
Nope.
this goes?
'Cause
Okay, great.
if I've seen this movie, I don't remember seeing it.
All right. Wow, that's 2D movies, and we're moving into the portion of Christopher Nolan movies where I'm not sure how we do this one because we're moving into the Batman portion, right? And when I was thinking about doing the show, when this show was brought up, I was like, do we do a full on just Batman, or do we take each movie as its own? And I'm going to guess I have it listed down there as each movie, but I want to know what you guys think. Like right now on the show, I didn't ask you that pre-show for a reason because I wanted to know what you guys thought.
So, having
Um,
recently rewatched these, they're radically different movies. So,
Okay,
like,
so taking
yeah,
it individually is best.
yeah. Also, like it's important to remember that like I don't know about you guys, but I grade comic book movies on a curve. So like if I'm rating them as a Nolan movie, I'm not rating them as a comic book movie. If that makes sense.
yep,
But he
Because like
he makes them so they're not necessarily comic book esque, but there's some
Ish Posh,
characters.
it still get,
There's some
still gets the
there's
comic
some
book
no
curve.
there's some yes there's some characters that he just can't on comic book,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate because he tries really hard. Well,
he
anyways,
does.
we're
Except for
talking
the
about
third one, which is the best
yes.
one, but we'll get there.
We're
So,
talking. Wow, Batman Begins is the first of the three, and we're here. So Batman Begins, I liked for a Batman reintroduction. I thought it was really good. You know, it in a way, I think in a sense revitalized Batman because at some or in the on the live action scale. See,
mhm.
and this is where I was stuck. Right? Do I talk about this as the Batman movie or do I talk about this as Christopher Nolan movie? And I'm confused.
That's what I
I
was
know, and I'm
saying.
stuck a little bit. Right. So in terms of a Christopher Nolan movie, it's I don't know. I don't know. It's not like great.
I
It's a
think
good movie. It could be like a
I
B
think
or a C to me.
it's an enjoyable movie, but I cannot watch it again. Like I've seen it a couple of times. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times,
Hmm.
and like that is more than enough for the rest of my life. Like I don't ever want
That's
to
not
see it because
nice.
like there's
That's not
there's
nice.
there's something about like Christian Bale's acting in that movie. Just like at some point he just screams out, "I am acting." Like it's at some point just so stiff and wooden. It's hard for me to like
It
just
could
go.
be the suit because man, it looked And you know what? That suit didn't age. That's the first suit in the first movie doesn't age well. I'm sorry.
They get rid of it, and they make fun of it in the
in the second movie. Yeah.
Honestly, if I were to rate Batman Begins, I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't call it a top tier movie or anything. So it'd be a B again.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. So if you had asked me like 2 years ago, I would have been closer to Ray, because I used to I was one of the people who sort of fell under the sway of Christopher Nolan at a point in my life, and so I watched Memento a good amount. I watched this movie a lot. I watched Dark Knight countless times. I was one of those white men, and we'll get to my opinions about Dark Knight in a minute. And so. And then I watched it when I fell out of that fear in my life. I was like, "Oh, this movie's terrible. Why did I ever like these Batman movies?" And then my wife, well, except for Dark Knight Rises, which is I've always enjoyed. But anyway, my wife and I rewatched them over the summer, and the movie's aged actually pretty well. Coming back to it, I think you definitely see what Nolan is trying to do, and I think he has a clear vision for what a Christopher Nolan superhero movie should be, and it's still, and that's really impressive. And I think he executes on that vision really well. Like, he's obsessed with showing you how each thing Batman does could actually be done in real life, right? Like, there's a painful obsession in that movie that kind of has a charm to it. Sitting here, at the end of the MCU, where they just threw any attempt to justify things, into the garbage can. You just throw things onto a green screen and see what sticks, right? Which is where superhero movies are now. Compare them with where they were a decade ago, where it's painfully trying to justify everything. There's a charm to that. I think.
I don't disagree. There's a charm to that, but honestly, I'm not going to the theater to watch documentaries, if that makes sense. I don't care about.
Wow.
Don't get me wrong. Realism can be nice and realism can be entertaining, but I'm not going to the theater for realism when I'm going to go see a superhero movie.
Oh, I agree with you. I'm a much bigger MCU fan, and I actually think that the best Batman movie Nolan made was Rises, when he throws all of his pretensions kind of out of the window, and it's just I'm going to make a batshit crazy Batman movie, and that's half of its charms, but not half of its charms, it's all of its charm, alongside Bane and stuff. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But I think that this movie, it has a mission statement, and he executes it really well. And that's where I think that there's a lot of, I guess, where I would probably still just rate this as a B. It's not an A movie to me. I don't think it's perfect. It's its vision, I guess, as Ray says, it's very narrow. It's a very claustrophobic vision of Batman, but I think it's
that's a very good way to define it. Yeah,
but I am inclined to agree with Roy on one point, where this movie does have a mission statement, as most Christopher Nolan movies do. So if we're gonna say is this a Christopher Nolan movie? Yes, it sticks to what it needs to do. Even the confusing movies, say Insomnia or whatever, or Memento, right? Those movies kind of have you thinking, because when I first saw Memento, I was like, yo, if I ever lost my memory, would I just is this what I would do? Batman Begins shows you that if you ever had the insane amount of money, that it's very, very possible to be Batman, and he executes that. And I think that realism, as to Ray's point, is kind of this is kind of not what I want to see in a superhero movie. And so again, in this section of Nolan movies, we're gonna do three things. We're going to rate a comic book movie, we're going to rate a Nolan movie, and we're going to ask, how does it age? So, those three things, where does this movie rank?
As a comic book movie, I'd call it an A. As a Nolan movie, or just a movie on its own, solid B.
How does it age?
Like I said, I can't watch it again, so I couldn't tell you. It's been so long since I've seen it, I couldn't tell you how it is.
And we're gonna take the average grade here, okay? We're gonna take the average scale here. So Roy,
Maybe I should rate
it's
it
on you.
lower then.
It's
So-
on you, Roy.
So I think as a superhero movie, I give it a C.
Wow.
As a Christopher Nolan movie, I would give it like a B.
Wow.
And how it
interesting.
aged, I would give it a B. Because I think it's now at the point, at least for me, where it's old enough now that there's like nostalgia. So you could go back and be like, oh yeah, that's what life was like in the Bush years. Look at that outfit. Look at the like how obsessed everybody was with those like jeeps that the army had when they were killing people in Iraq. Like look at all this like Iraq war porn stuff that that he has. Like I've reached the point where it reminds me of being a teenager again in that era. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So for me, it's aged pretty well. So I would give this movie like a solid B.
Yeah, I think the average we're hearing here is the B. So the Batman Begins, you are sitting at a B with Memento. That you're in good company. It's not a bad place to be. Magic. Christopher Nolan tackles magic and technology in Prestige. Listen, this movie came out. I think there was another magic movie that came out with this movie, right? Crap. It was The Prestige. Who's it? Let me look at this again. Prestige is yes. It's Wolverine and Batman, and then there was another one with Ed Norton where he had a twin, and yeah, Ed Norton and help me out, man. There were two movies that came out this year that had magic in them, and I'm really upset because I can't remember.
What is the Ed Norton movie called? Oh, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think personally the Ed Norton movie was a little better. It's just
Oh wow.
it's just this movie had Batman and Wolverine and Christopher Nolan attached to it. But not to say that I don't like it. I thought it was pretty good. No. This was the one where he had a twin, right?
Well, it's
Yeah.
I mean, are we
It's,
spoiler
it's,
open
it's
here?
the one. It's the one with the twins.
Because they're not a twin.
Thing
So.
legit. Yeah, they're not twins, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Well, he had the brother dress up like him, and he ends up killing himself.
The clone, right? That's
Right.
Yeah.
this movie, right?
Yeah, it was a clone. I'm sorry. It was because he kept doing the thing, and yeah. So honestly, I don't know where I'm at with this movie, but so let me let you guys talk on this. You guys have seen this, right?
Yeah.
I have to bow out because like I've heard nothing about it, and it's on my list, but I have never seen it, so I can't really
Wow,
make
you
an
Oh,
should.
opinion.
I won't talk too much, but I guess you should definitely see this. I think
You should.
this-
I'm sorry if I spoiled it for you.
No. See, you're not telling me anything I didn't know already.
Oh,
These are
okay,
things
okay.
was
Okay.
told me to
So-
try to get me to watch it.
So for me, this is like where everything about Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker and a writer and a director is in balance. Like all of the different, like he's not out of control yet, where he's just like it's all beautiful. Like I'll get to my opinion, Dunkirk, which is extremely beautiful, but the most heartless anti-war movie of all time, where it's just like
Right.
you don't feel anything while you're watching it as people are getting murdered in one of the deadliest wars in human history. Like same with Interstellar, like has no heart. It's so like he gets increasingly more beautiful and more like philosophical, but increasingly more heartless and emotionally empty, and it's just all imagery. And here, there's still some of that heart. There's still like character in the Prestige, and that. So I think like this is, in many ways, if I was to say like what is where Christopher Nolan, where everything is in balance as a filmmaker and a writer, I would say it's the Prestige. So I would say that this is like
The
an A movie.
Illusionist. Yes.
Yeah. No, The Illusionist. That is the Ed Norton movie. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No. And I think, unlike Memento, I think if you know the twist to this
Mhm.
movie, it's still watchable, and you actually want to watch it, right?
Right.
And see like where the twist pays off versus Memento. So I would give this an A.
Okay, that's fair.
But I'm happy to like bump it down to like a B if you have like weaker opinions on it, Mo. But I definitely.
But that's the thing. The thing is, I'm not sure where I'm at with this movie because again, I saw The Illusionist literally like it was almost like they came out around the same time. I think this came out in 2007. The Illusionist was in 2006. So it's yeah. They came out in 2006. They came out around the same time. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
they were back to back.
yeah, I was very like not caring, and I haven't seen it again to actually really care too much for it. But you know what? I'll let your grade stand. This is the one time where somebody's soul grade or soul rank is the only rank that we have, because Ray doesn't have an opinion on this, and my opinion on this is not strong enough to really rank it. So Roy, you have it. It's an A. Wow, that's amazing.
Well, good. I get to have unpopular hot takes for the next 3 of these. So
Right. Yeah. Once we get the Bat Family, that should be very good. That would be a very interesting debate. I can't wait for that one. Anyways, next movie, we're in another Batman movie, The Dark Knight, which is what. So DC fans, DC stands, hardcore edgy comic book fans think this is the greatest comic book movie of all time. There's a lot of debate on what is the best comic book movie of all time. This was also, I think, the first one to hit $1 billion. In the time when comic book movies, or just the first solo character movie to hit $1 billion, because I think the Avengers was coming out like the next year or something. Well,
yeah,
Iron Man 3.
Avengers ended up making more money than
Yes.
this, but this
Yes.
came out first, right? I think
Yes. 2008.
well, maybe a couple more. Like, wasn't Avengers not even until 2010?
Yeah. I think
Because I was living in New York when Avengers came out. So
yes.
yeah.
So this was the first comic book solo character movie to hit $1 billion. So this movie had a lot on it, and the cast. I think this is when the cast for me was better than, say, in the first one. Ray probably doesn't like Christian Bale in this one. I can go ahead and guess that.
You'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. I mean,
I would be.
there's some horrible choices like his Batman voice, but like
Like when he has
ultimately,
the philosophical debate with the Joker in the Batman voice. It's my
oh yeah,
the trolley problem.
but like his acting is significantly better in this movie.
Significantly better. Okay, yeah, okay.
In my opinion, and everyone does a good enough job at what they do. It's not like what's her face. Okay, I take that back. The girl who plays his girlfriend or whatever it is,
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal is a straight upgrade from Katie Holmes as an actress.
Though. Yeah, straight upgrade, but still not great.
Well, they don't
I can see that. Yeah, she's
they don't give her.
She's almost damsel in distress in this one, and it's kind of weird.
Multiple times.
Literally in the refrigerator. But Katie Holmes in the first movie was just, oh my
cardboard.
God, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Also, they were supposed to be the same age, and Christian Bale's like what, 10 years older than Katie Holmes?
Yeah, no. So like Maggie Gyllenhaal is like, she's a better actress. She did better, but she was still pretty boring to watch the movie. That's all right. So like, if I were to rate this movie, I'd rate it above Batman Begins. I don't know if I'd put it in A. It's definitely like somewhere between an A and a B. I think this to me is where Christopher Nolan, like, because I didn't see the last movie you guys were talking about, where you guys talk about how this is where he comes together. To me, this is where he comes together, where he weaves in like the layers he likes to do and all of that without being a fart sniffer.
Wow. So again, Ray, the three things here, right? Comic book movie, how well does it age, and Nolan movie.
I think the whole package, as a movie, as a comic book movie, and how it ages or whatever, I'd rate it all the same thing, and that's either an A or a B, somewhere in between.
Okay, so again, for Batman movies, we're gonna really take the average here, and I'm so interested in hearing what Roy has to say, because.
Before we hand over to Roy,
yeah, go ahead, Ray.
I can appreciate the fact that unlike the previous movies where you watch them once, you don't ever want to watch them again, or you watch them a couple of times. For me, anyway, this is the first one where I watched it and I was like, oh, there's multiple layers of things going on in this movie, blah 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 blah, and I appreciated that. I know a lot of people are always like, oh, Heath Ledger, blah blah blah. I'm like, yes, he did great, good for him, but Heath Ledger is not the reason I like this movie, if that makes sense. He's
makes sense.
So what's the reason you like this movie?
Great set pieces, great superhero movie, and multi-layered.
I think Heath Ledger is one of the pieces. I can agree with you. I think for me and a lot of people, he's the main piece, because I don't think this movie works without his perform. And then again, we wouldn't know. And this is why everything about this movie, I think it stops here for Nolan. For a lot of people, I'm not saying, because I know for Roy it doesn't stop here. The next one is just greatness. I think it stops here for a lot of people because we don't know what would have happened, what they really had planned for the next movie. We don't know. So I think
I don't think Heath Ledger was ever going to be in the next movie. Like, I don't
Interesting.
believe he was ever going to be in the next movie.
The last story I read about that is he had signed on to do another one.
Right. Like, I think he would have been like a cameo, like the first guy, like the Scarecrow was a cameo in the second movie. You know?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
But like, I definitely liked his juxtaposition of like chaos and order and how similar they are. Like, I could go on about this movie for days, but like that would be really, really. I would get to a point where I was sniffing my own farts.
Well, I'm definitely a person who at a time in my life sniffed my own farts about this movie. So
okay, and I'm ready to hear it. I'm ready to hear it.
You ready for the fire?
Yes.
All right, I'll start with the just out there talk. This is the most toxic comic book movie ever made. Its influence has been but garbage. Like,
yes.
You know what?
The entire.
Are you rating the movie? Or are you rating the movie's influence? Because like,
you know what?
Well, but that comes with age well, right?
I would think Man of Steel is more toxic than this movie.
No,
but
we got so much.
I think this movie is responsible for Man of Steel. So like,
it is 100%. It is like so many of the toxic elements that particularly the DC cinematic universe has been enthralled with got so pumped up by this movie, and
I can 100%.
I agree.
Tired of bad versions of Heath Ledger's Joker being the only version of the Joker that can exist. Like, and it's just like, you know, the parody of it is, of course, Suicide Squad Joker. You know, who's like, what if Marilyn Manson was crossed with?
Oh God, that was ugly.
It was horrible.
That was ugly.
But I mean, the fact that like this movie's interpretation of the Joker helped inspire actual real life terrorism is like one of the most insane things about this movie. This movie is it's just nuts, horrible influence. Like the fact that you've got Trumpsters in 2020 who use the Joker as like one of their touch points. Like, I think that that's something I just can't get away from where this movie has ended up in our culture. Is
I don't disagree with you, but like there has to be credit to Nolan for the fact that like he made something so visceral that it resonates so much. Like there's something in there. Like I don't like all these influences it had, but like I got to give him credit for being so damn influential.
I guess,
absolutely. And I think so. My wife and I recently rewatched it, and I liked it more than the last time I rewatched it about 2 years ago, because I think there's a lot of sequences that really work well. Like the sequence at the party where the Joker is like the party at Wayne Tower or whatever. The Joker's like threatening people, and then he ends up threatening Maggie Gyllenhaal, and he throws her out the window, and Batman saves her. And like, I think that that's like one of the better like Joker sequences like in the entire movie. I think that the confrontation. I actually have come around to the final confrontation between Joker and Batman. I think that it's pretty well done, but I think the movie really doesn't work well as a Batman movie. Weirdly, because one of the problems that I think one of the problems of Dark Knight Rises, but I think is slightly better than this movie, is that like Batman's kind of like a non-entity in this movie. Like, there's not a lot for Batman to chew on in this. And that's why they kind of up this like Maggie Gyllenhaal thing, and the fact that instead of like letting Batman figure out what the Joker's plan is, he literally comes up with this Deus Ex Machina thing that he gives Morgan Freeman that they then delete and forget about. It's like, I built the NSA's dream spy network. I'm going to give it to you for one use, so we don't have to actually come up with a plot reason for me to be able to catch the Joker.
Wow, that is true.
Like, that still hasn't stuck with me very well. Like, I think at the end of the day, this movie's ambitions don't add up to the sum of its parts. So for me, as a comic book movie, I'm going to give this a F.
Wow.
As a way it's aged, I will give it a F. But
wow.
as a movie, give it a C. Like that again. I have the hot takes about this movie. So
Damn.
uh,
See,
I guess
that's the thing I
okay.
just wasn't expecting.
Yo, so okay, let me step in. So I will agree with Roy in certain points of say the way it aged and the way it's being used now, the influence of the movie. I think if we want to talk about the way the movie is aged and the influence, because you can't separate the two. I think the movie is aged as a movie, it's aged very well, but as the fact that there are people taking excerpts out of this movie and using them the way they're using them, I think that is absolutely horrible, and it's very difficult to separate the two. But as a comic book movie, I'm not inclined to call this. I'm not inclined to give this like the greatest comic book movie ever. I've had this conversation a lot of times. As a Batman movie, I am also not inclined to call it the best Batman movie. Again, for the point Roy made as to where Batman could have done the detective work to figure certain things out, but instead he's Iron Man in this movie, and I would have thought Ray would have called that out, but Ray didn't call it out. He's pretty much Iron Man.
Iron
Tony Stark.
Iron Man is not like his abilities and his money and like I the reason I hate Iron Man is because of his personality.
Oh, okay.
you don't like the billionaire
You,
playboy part, but like
No, like because Bruce Wayne is
I-
absolutely a billionaire playboy, but he's not in the same way
he's a
Tony
fake
Stark
billionaire.
he's a fake
is a
billionaire playboy. So
Tony
his
Stark
personality is fake.
Tony Stark is a smug little shit who's always wrong about everything.
Have you met a billionaire? Or have you met a rich person? Like like
Have you
let's
met
be
Elon?
real.
Have you followed Elon Musk on Twitter? So
God,
Yeah,
why would I? Why would I?
because Tony Stark kind of does exist, but
Do
no.
I look like a libertarian?
But in all honesty, that end of the movie where it was like, oh, this is the CIA or the FBI or the NSA, as Roy pointed out, I think that is a fact, and I think that is something that a lot of people can't get over because Batman shouldn't be reliant on like super tech like that. He was not really a detective in this movie. I
I
mean, he
don't
did
know.
one piece of
Like
he did one piece
I
of
disagree
detective
about
work.
I disagree about the super tech because like Batman like since like the '90s has always been about super tech. Well, that's the entire point of the whole Bat
well,
computer. Right
I think
But
for
there's still
me, it's
a lot of detective work that goes into his day to day.
I agree. I
Okay,
agree.
and this movie didn't explore that. Again, the movie. This is why I said the movie doesn't work without Heath Ledger because it doesn't really rest its laurels on Batman. It literally says, "Yo, Heath, carry this movie," and he did. I didn't mean to cut you off, Roy. So go ahead.
no. Go ahead. I was going to mostly agree with you. I think Batman for me, the what is it? Pretty toys. What is that the line in or the fabulous toys? Whatever the Joker says in the
Right.
original Batman from 1989. Right. I think that is part of Batman's charm. I think, but there are more tools that he uses. I think this movie just the tool is just pure Deus Ex Machina. Right. It's just like we're not going to spend the storytelling energy to come up with like an organic way that Batman solves this, which they kind of try to do with the bullets thing in the middle, because I think Christopher Nolan took at least somewhat to heart the criticism of Batman Begins that Batman's not a detective at all in it, where he just
Right.
kind of gets
And so
he
that
gets beat
one
up and then
bullet
he
thing, right.
yeah.
And that was it. But all in all, I think it's a good movie because, as Ray said, it's really layered, and the layers work really well together. I think the cast of this movie does really well outside of Batman himself. So this movie works as a movie, as a Nolan movie. It works again because Nolan loves to layer his movies a lot, and this movie is kind of pretentious if we're being very real.
Oh yes.
which falls right in line with Nolan flicks. And so I would give this movie, in terms of a Nolan movie, I would give it an A. In terms of a superhero Batman movie, it's a C to a D for me. It's not. It doesn't. But which is why when people say it's the greatest comic book movie, I'm very very hesitant because
No.
it's a great movie. But when you put in the comic book elements, it's like not
So
really.
one of the more interesting things that we should do in the future is each of us comes with what we think the greatest superhero movie of all time is.
Whew,
Oh
And I would be
God.
interested to see
whew, whew.
where people are. Because like thinking about like what is
Superman
the
2.
I mean that's not a bad that's not a
That is
bad
a fight.
uh, well it's
You
just
know
I
what?
think
You know what? I
without
think that
fighting
is
with
a
each
great.
other because I don't think there's a correct answer, right? Like, I
Right,
think
there's no-
one correct answer.
there's no wrong answer because it's all opinion
Well,
based.
there's wrong answers, but there's no like one correct answer. Like,
Right.
like, what would be a X-Men 3 would be like a wrong answer. Right?
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
I'm trying to think of
BVS.
what. Yeah. Yes. Sadly, Halle Berry's Catwoman. Right. These are all.
Okay. There are wrong answers. Right. And I think
Electra.
I think what should happen is we should actually everyone and just rank it based. Everyone should drop their favorite comic book movie, and we have a ranking show where we rank everyone's favorite comic book movie. I think that's a great show. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So Batman. I'm sorry, The Dark Knight. Where does that fall? I think B. Are we gonna call it a B? I think we should, based on. I'm trying to figure out the average share, man. The average share doesn't because it's
I mean, like I throw off the ranking, so I'm willing.
yeah,
to
you did. Because what you said. I mean, I guess as a comic book movie is the tricky part here, but as a Nolan movie, I'll give it a B. I think based on that, and so for one like moment, we're gonna throw out the comic book part. It shouldn't be thrown out, but I guess Ray does give it. There's a little middle ground, and Ray gives it that middle ground, so it's a B. Wow,
Yeah,
that
okay.
that was a lot of mental gymnastics there, but that works.
Oh, hey, that's a good lead into the next one.
Yes, it's fantastic. Right, so here we are talking about literally mental gymnastics in Inception. I really liked this movie. I liked it when I first saw it. I thought, oh my God, Christopher Nolan, you are so brilliant. Leo was great. I mean, I was like, what am I doing? Like, is this what goes on in my head? Oh my gosh, like what if I go to sleep and someone talks to me in my sleep? Now like my next decision. Yes, this movie did kind of mess me up like that. But again, I saw it later, and I'm like, this is very, very pretentious.
Mm-hmm.
It is so pretentious, and Hans Zimmer with that score is so loud.
Oh, it's great. It's the best part of the movie.
So yes, it doesn't age as well as I think people think it does. And I think a lot of the Nolan heads just love it and don't see any holes in it.
I'm gonna stop you right there. There's like this movie, like I can't rate it. I can't rate this movie as high as I want to, if that makes sense. Because like I like this movie so much, but
Oh
like
no.
but no. I like this movie so much, but at the same time, I'm just gonna like, yeah, but it's like trash. It's like trash you like.
I'm fair. Christopher Nolan did make
I
two movies
love
back
it
to back
so
that are
much,
trash that you like.
and it's like every time I like for the last like 6 or 7 times I watched it, I find something new, but it's like it doesn't make the movie better. But I still love this movie. I don't know why it is I love this movie, but like I don't,
You just do.
sometimes you like garbage.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it was, but when I saw this movie, man, I was so blown. I think Shutter Island had happened a while before this, and I just see Leo as like untouchable, and I think it's Leo. Honestly, I think Leo makes this movie work so well. He really,
It was all right. It was
or
all
is it
right.
Joseph? Or is it Joseph Gordon-Levitt? I think one of
They were
them.
they were they were
Or Tom
they weren't
Hardy.
all
Well,
they weren't
also
all in top form. They were all just okay.
the
Okay.
actress who plays his wife does a good job of like seeming horribly sinister and then like sucker sweet. I think she actually weirdly carries the movie in a way that
Yeah, I think so.
because like she plays a good villain that's not the villain, you know, because Leo's really kind of the villain of this movie.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know, but I don't think it's Leo. I think actually, like having recently rewatched Inception,
Okay, I haven't.
Leo's
So.
plot or Leo's acting kind of lands a little flat. Like
Oh,
that's kind of
wow.
actually a lot of my problem with a lot of more modern Leo movies is that he's remarkably flat actor. But
So he's not acting anymore. He's just Leo, and we just have to be okay with it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
for me, this is the movie where when I saw it at first, I liked it, but I didn't love it, and it was the first Nolan movie that I had seen besides Insomnia that, contemporaneously, like I didn't love when I first saw it. Um, and then over time, just Inception now, has just become like a parody. To me, this is where the wheels come off the train for Christopher Nolan, like where his worst impulses just are starting to get no one is telling him no anymore.
Right. I can see that. Yeah, on
I
the
think
subsequent watches, I definitely can see that. Yes.
it's so funny because it's a solid, phenomenal, in my opinion, action movie, but he adds all this cerebral stuff that's just come the fuck
Oh,
on.
wait till you see Tenet. Wait till
Oh,
you see Tenet.
I
Oh,
can only imagine.
you
Tenet
think.
seems to be even worse. It seems everything I've read about Tenet seems like it's all the problems with Inception cranked up to a giant flop.
Right.
But I think the biggest issue is when you start thinking about Ellen Page's character, or non-character in this movie.
What about
Applying it to other female characters in his movies, you start getting into problems. It's just I don't know. I actually think the best thing about this movie is the wire work is really cool.
Yes.
So that whole sequence where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is fighting people, but the world is turning, is really beautifully done, and you're like, oh wow, that's so cool looking. And then also Hans Zimmer's score, which makes this movie seem so much more important and so much more serious and so much more everything that it actually is. You get a little bit of that in The Dark Knight. There's a little moments where his score is a little too on the nose, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. This is important. Okay. And then in Inception, there's no turning back.
Right.
There's no turning back. And I think the problem is Inception should be funner, right? But it just doesn't feel fun at so many moments, right?
It's too much.
And it's also I read an article because it's 10 years old now, which makes me feel really old. That was this is the most by the books movie about dreams ever. This is what Christopher Nolan thinks people dream about is basically New York City. What? There's no real dream logic in a movie about dreams.
Right.
And I think that's something that stuck with me when I read that retrospective. So I'm actually at a point. I mean, probably it should be a C, but if it was just me rating this, I'd give this movie a D. It's just
Ray, you have to rate this.
I would definitely give it a C because
Okay.
It's a solid action movie that just doesn't realize it's just an action movie.
All right, there we go. Inception. C. That's our first C movie. Wow, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we just finally got to our first C movie. The last in the Batman trilogy. You know what, Roy? Go ahead. Take this one.
Well, I mean, I'm going to make the case, and you all are going to disagree with me, but that's fine. That this is
you don't know that
S-tier Christopher Nolan movie and an S-tier Batman movie because he just doesn't give a fuck anymore in this movie. It's
I think he did say that. Right.
Trying to be realistic, that's out the window. Trying to tell some weave in really serious themes, that's out the window. Instead, and in fact, in many ways, the serious theme that he tries about this economic inequality or whatever the fuck, the confusing politics of this movie is actually part of its charms because Bane nominally should be an easier villain for people to hook onto than the Joker modern day politically. But what he's spouting, but it's so incoherent and nonsensical, and there's just this is the movie that feels most like the kind of Batman stories that I like, which are just batshit crazy and taking all these fantastical elements and wrapping them together. I am a child of the '90s Batman, from Nightfall, which the story tells, and No Man's. Two of my favorite stories that bookended kind of my adolescence, which was Nightfall when I was younger, and then No Man's Land when I was graduating high school. I think it was my senior year of high school. I don't remember exactly. Might have been a little bit earlier than that. I love those Batman stories, and it brings them together. And then Tom Hardy's Bane is the perfect comic book villain. He's a physical presence. He's great in the action sequences. He gives nonsensical monologues, and he's so full of shit. Like everything Bane says in that movie is like a lie. Like this is also a Tom Hart, like a Christopher Nolan movie, where the reveal at the end makes everything so much better. When it's like, oh wait, he's just doing all of this because he loves Talia. Like all of this shit is just all an elaborate ruse to fuck Bruce Wayne over, because he killed his girlfriend's dad, and all was just a crock of shit. Like when that happened, I was like, this is awesome. This is a Christopher Nolan movie where the twist just pays it all off. It's not like, oh yeah, the Joker's trying to prove the philosophical problems of the trolley problem with real human beings. Wow. It's like, nope, this is just a horny, thirsty dude who loves his girlfriend, and his father-in-law got murdered, and he's gonna revenge himself on it. It's like, and he's just gonna do whatever it takes to get his revenge, and then Catwoman blows him away. It's just like that. I'm like, Christopher Nolan, because he just doesn't care. Like, he took the money and he made a batshit crazy Batman movie, and I love it. And I will. That's a hill I will die on. I will put this as an S tier movie, and it's pretty too. So
it is. Ray,
I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like, they all knew who the fuck he was, and they just didn't kill him at the start. So, like, honestly, I hate this goddamn movie so much. I hate this movie so much. Like, this movie is a D in my book. Like, I hate this movie so much. Like, with the exception of what's her name, the girl who plays Catwoman,
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway.
Oh,
like,
you can throw her in the trash for me.
like,
I'm sorry.
It's like what's his face's acting? Like, everyone's acting takes a step back again. I'm just gonna like, why'd you guys become more shit at acting again? And like, the action sequences were garbage. Like,
What?
Yeah,
what?
Well, the only one that's garbage is the like nonsensical cops versus
cops versus robbers. Terrible. That was horrible.
Like, there are so many, like, there's at least 2 scenes in that movie where like random dudes just fall over for no reason at all. Like one where Batman.
You're watching it too hard, man.
No. It's not watching it too hard. This is me watching the movie. Like, random dude just falls over in the middle of a Batman fight. The Batman never hits him. He's not even anywhere near Batman. And then the same thing happens with the cop fights again. I'm still like, did anyone like watch this when they were cutting?
No one cared.
Like, now I'm gonna have to rewatch it. See if I can.
That's my point. I feel like, yeah, like, I give Nolan shit for huffing parts and all that, but like, he just didn't give a fuck in this movie. And honestly, like, that wasn't it for me. I needed to at least care a little bit. And then, like, whatever story he was trying to tell, like, whatever layered story he was trying to tell, just didn't fucking hook me at all. I didn't give 2 shits. Like, I couldn't find myself caring about anything in this movie. Like, I would rather watch Batman and Robin and the other shitty Batman movie with the bat nipples than this movie again.
No.
Wow, that's
that's a little harsh.
Let me explain. Because in my mind, those movies are more like the 60s Batman movies, and I know what I'm getting into. I'm okay with that. This third Nolan Batman movie, no thanks. Like,
okay.
I watched it, and like, the more I thought about it after I watched it, the angrier I got. I don't get angry at movies usually. Like, this movie just fucks me off.
That's fair. Yeah. I'll say this though, to round this off. I kind of agree with Roy. I'm sorry. Bane had all the quotables, man. Come on. And you think that gives you power? Like, literally all the quotables. And I think it matters who I saw this with, and I saw this with a bunch of like people who didn't care about comic book movies, but we all left the movie and everyone was quoting Bane for like at least a solid month and a half, and it's all Bane everything. I'm like, this movie has a lasting impact, because guess what? I think people are still quoting Bane to today. It's
my best friend's bachelor party was the weekend after this movie came out, and we went to see it, and we had the Bane voice thing on our phones.
Come on, really?
People doing Bane voices at each
Bane,
other.
like seriously, and as crazy as nonsensical as that last fight, the cops versus robbers or cops versus, I thought, yo, like there's no way to cap what happens in this. Like if you went lower or softer as with any other type of final fight, I would have actually told you to turn. I would have turned it off. But at that point, it was the highest portion of the. It's you can't cap that off for anything lower, and I thought that was great. The Bane fight in the sewer when he breaks his back, I think doesn't you don't get a better version of Bane versus Batman live. If there is a better version of Bane, I would like to see it. But I thought that particular fight where Bane was giving him literally all the quotables, like every it was it was as if when Goya sat down and Goya and Nolan sat down to write this movie, they're like, listen, it's just one-liners for Bane in this fight. It's one-liners, and oh, you think what was it about the dark? He cut the lights off, and he's like, oh, you cut the lights off, and you think that gives you like
darkness is your
is your eye.
I
Like,
was
listen,
born in
I
the
was
dark,
born like, come
molded
on.
in the dark.
It's like, and
I didn't
then
see the light till I was a
best part of
man.
it is, it's all bullshit. Like it's all
It is,
bullshit. That's
it is
all
because like,
amazing.
as Roy points out, the twist, all of that shit was BS. Him escaping, like when he thought when
God, I
all
hate this movie.
but I would
God, I
tell you
hate this
this
movie.
as a comic book movie, this is an actual comic book movie to me versus say The Dark Knight. This is literally a comic book movie because if we're being honest, right? The the height of comic book movies now is Endgame. Like when you go back and say what's the comic book movie to end, like it's Endgame, and
Or Infinity
everything
War,
about
depending on who you ask.
yeah, and everything about Endgame is just throwing comic book things and just everything is every comic book logic, Ant-Man logic. It's literally just comic book logic. This movie is comic book logic, and it did it before Endgame. So honestly, I'm not gonna say S tier. I'll give it a solid A. So
Oh
what
man,
is
I get it. The one thing I wanted to accomplish in this episode has been done. So
so the average?
That's a solid decent. If that was a lower score, I'd give it a lower score. I hate this movie so much.
It's an A. Wow, this is our second A movie. Now
Wow!
we are going.
Wow! No, that's not how that works.
Oh
it's
no,
our
okay.
show. We're just living in it.
I think it's an A. I think just based on the nuttiness of this movie and the fact that Christopher Nolan isn't pretentious in this, it's an A for me. It works as an A for me. So Roy, you have two, okay? Because you got the Prestige, and now you because technically this is this, but I agree with you to a fact, to a point. I'm not gonna give it S. I'm gonna give it an A. So I think you should be happy with that. Two
Oh,
more
I'm very
movies.
happy with that.
Interstellar, which I think Roy had kind of touched on when he mentioned something about how it's just there. It's a pretty movie to look at. It's what about almost 3 hours. It's pretty.
Ugh.
It's but it's I thought it was long. I fell asleep watching it. I watched it in theaters. I haven't seen it again. I fell asleep and I woke up and the movie was still going and I was like, wow. Yeah. I think that just kind of spoiler alert. That kind of tells you where I'm going with this, but I will let you guys go first.
Go ahead, Ray.
So, like, this movie, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time,
Wow.
waiting for something to happen.
Oh. Oh, you have me. I'm not
You
gonna
had
lie,
me
you had me in the first half. I was like, whoa,
Like,
good one.
I kept waiting for good shit to happen, and nothing. Like, the closest they had to like something good happening was when was it Matt Damon? When they met Matt Damon's
Mm,
character,
hmm.
and he was like some insane dude. I was like, oh, this is funny. He's got that at least.
It's funny.
Like this movie, like, you know how, like, I was talking about how Inception was like for me, where I started to go, oh, okay, definitely sniff farts, blah blah blah. This movie is where you go, oh, okay. This movie goes back and colors all the other previous
Mhm.
movies. Like, and it's light. I can recognize a Nolan movie now. Like, you don't even have to tell me he made this movie. I recognize this movie, and I don't fucking like it.
Totally. I fully agree with both of you. Like,
Okay.
I fell asleep the first time I saw this movie. I tried to watch it again. And I was
I'm
like,
just
why am
gonna
I
go
wasting
put it
my
right
time like
here
watching this
before.
movie? It's
Right.
not even like the fun thing. It is
No, it's
pretty.
not. It's
It's extremely
gorgeous.
pretty,
Gorgeous.
but it's so
Yeah, it's a very good
heartless.
looking movie. Yep.
Like, it just
It's so hard for a movie that's supposed to be about love. It's so heartless.
yes.
like it's so fucked. Like I
Oh, by the way, it's
like
already in the
the
D.
story.
It's
I
already
like
a D
yeah
movie.
yeah sorry. I like the story he was trying to
I
tell
think
about
it has so much
like
potential,
ugh.
but we're not grading a movie on potential. It's
yeah.
just very
That's it.
hard to go back and sit back through this movie again. I know a Nolan head that will come back at me and be like, "You guys are crazy," but I
This movie is one that made me realize, you know what? I don't like Matthew McConaughey movies.
This is the movie that made me finalize for me. It's like, wait, do I actually not like Christopher Nolan movies? And then I went back and watched Inception. I was like, oh wait, I don't really like Christopher Nolan movies. And then I went
yeah,
back and watched Memento. I was like,
yeah. This
oh.
this this movie for me was like, you know what you said about Leo playing Leo? That to me, Matthew McConaughey just plays Matthew
oh,
McConaughey.
come on, that's unfair. That's
I
unfair
mean,
to Matthew.
I would say that this is the case. The only time recently that he hasn't really played Matthew McConaughey is the cop show that he did. I think he plays a slightly different version of himself in that one. What is
Yeah,
Hmm.
it called?
he put. It's still Matthew McConaughey.
It's still Matthew, but it's like a little bit more nuance there in
Right,
this movie. But
right.
yeah, so Dunkirk, this will be interesting. So
Oh, this I'm for me to D. There's nothing else. It's stupid. It's not
Okay,
fun.
so Dunkirk
So,
came
but I'll
out,
let you guys go.
and I completely checked out of Nolan by then. I was like, you know what? No.
Wow, that's short.
that
it,
that 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 was a Nolan movie I actively decided I wasn't interested in seeing because I realized I didn't like Nolan movies.
It
yeah,
tells a. It looks good. Again, this is
mhm.
another. Oh my god, it's really gorgeous to look at. I mean, but you're watching them, and it tells this story, and it's very weird. It's a timeline story, which is what Nolan likes to do, and you're watching it, and everything is supposed to be happening in different timelines. That eventually at the
So
end come together,
so
right? But
he's going back to Crib Tarantino again then.
good. I think Roy wants to say something, so go ahead.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, but the
No, it's
really
fine.
bad. But I think for me, this movie is weirdly heartless for what's supposed to be a anti-war movie in many ways.
Right, right.
Like weirdly, it's obsessed with its own visuals. Like
Mm-hmm.
like I kind of like see what Christopher Nolan is trying to do. Like like Dunkirk, World War I is so formative to British people, and he's like trying to explore that cultural space, that political space, intellectual space. But he becomes so obsessed with the visuals and the way he wants to tell the story that message just doesn't come across, and it just ends up being this kind of like weirdly heartless, bloodless
What is that
war movie.
noise?
There's some construction going on. Sorry.
Oh,
You
okay.
see, I think Dunkirk is what is Dunkirk is 1917 is what Christopher Nolan thought. Like when he was making Dunkirk, and you watch 1917, I think Christopher Nolan thought he was going to make 1917 with Dunkirk, and it didn't work that way because Dunkirk doesn't work at all for me. It's beautiful to look at. The again Hans Zimmer with his loud, boisterous, you know, theme and his music, and in this was just yeah. Because I saw this movie at a screening, right, and it was I think Adobe theater. This
You
was
don't
when
like your eardrums, huh?
you
Yeah,
know.
a Hans Zimmer soundtrack and an Adobe Theater. Wow, you need a hearing aid now, I imagine.
And literally everyone came out like, huh? huh? Like but because the screen. I mean, you had to see it on the screen, but then it was loud, and I think one of the complaints was, yo, you couldn't really even get into the movie because like you felt everything. You just thought, like, and so for me, Dunkirk isn't a good movie, isn't a good Nolan movie. It's unfortunate because again, it's a movie where there's a story in there that could work if he actually gave a shit. And I think at the Dark Knight Returns, Nolan had said, "I'm Christopher Nolan, and people are just gonna watch what I do." And you can tell moving forward because when you guys do see Tenet, oh god, I can't wait.
I think
I
I'll,
look
I think I'll
Please,
forward to
no,
pass.
no,
that
no,
watching
please,
Tenet.
please, please,
I think I'll
please,
pass.
Ray,
I I
please,
I
Ray,
I
Ray,
hear.
Ray
All
for
right.
the no, you
So
you have to see it
so
for the show. You have to see it for the
so
show.
like it's a palindrome name, and like it's gonna have something to do with time travel. You know what? I'm just gonna go watch Primary, call it a day.
No, you have to see this, and then please, when you see, we have to come back and do a review on it because please,
Oh my
the review is gonna be
god.
so great. Because
Oh my
between the two
god.
of you guys, I think it's gonna be so amazing. But no, thank you
It's
guys
not
for coming.
Inception.
Thank you. No, you're seeing it, Ray. I'm gonna put in the chat that Ray said he's gonna see Tenet. I'm
Wow.
gonna
I
cut
will
this.
hate watch the hell out of that movie.
That's
Honestly,
fine.
when it's safe to do so.
I'm gonna cut this part of the video out. So I'm gonna be like, Ray said he's gonna see Tenet and he's gonna come back to review it. By the way, I'm cutting this. So how long is this in? Yeah, I'm cutting this part out. So this isn't gonna be in the final view. But no, this is there's no S tier Nolan movie for us at least.
Yeah.
Our A tier movies are The Prestige
Hold on,
and
hold on. I thought it went to D, not F.
yeah, it went to. There's no. I'm saying there's no S tier movie. I'm saying
Oh, right, right. Oh, sorry, I
yeah.
heard F.
Yeah, there's no S tier Christopher Nolan movie.
All right.
Our surprisingly, The Prestige and The Dark Knight Rises are the A tier movies here.
I
Basically,
love it.
what it looks like to me is Nolan is a B tier actor that gets S tier billing. Sorry,
Wow.
B tier
A
director that gets S
director?
tier billing. Yeah,
Oh,
Hmm.
definitely.
Yeah.
He might even be a C tier director.
yeah.
Yeah. And so you have Memento, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight as a B tier movie. Inception is a C
That
tier
last that
movie.
above everything else.
And everything else is the D tier movies. I think the following gets an unfair shake because none of us actually saw it, but the fact that Nolan heads aren't telling you, "Hey, go watch it," is also very telling. Again, thank you guys for coming. This is our final look at the at our ranking for Christopher Nolan. I'm pretty sure the comments are gonna be crazy. Thank you guys for
People are
watching.
going to get a lot of hate if this takes off.
Oh my god,
Get
I
ready for
can't
your
wait.
mentions to blow up.
I'm not. I'm not. But thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for making the time. We will catch you on the next Earth 2 ranks everything. I'm gonna put a poll. I'm gonna put a poll in the chat and see if we can get everyone to drop their comic book, their superhero movies, and we can just go ahead and rank that. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Uh,
Au revoir.
Peace.